What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, Nvidia, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I want to talk about some very important levels to be watching for as time goes on, and what's happening with big earnings that came out, and what is going to likely affect the markets, at least moving forward. But before I break into devil's information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I am firstly not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed 15 in total. And the offer ends very soon, just about 13 days. Anyways, for SPY, we got this nice rejection right over here approaching our 20 EMA at 552 a share. Now, with this happening, we did dip a little bit only to get bought back up. And overall, we're actually holding a key support, also on the QQQ. So this makes me kind of bring up the idea of the possibility of a little rebound tomorrow morning, which I think is going to likely happen. But we'll have to see how we end up reacting to some key resistance levels. So I'll be breaking down all of that for this video. But I first want to talk about some news and data just real quick before I break down the charts. So this is just going to take a couple of minutes. Just know, guys, that tomorrow is going to be Friday, July 19th, 2024. At 10:40 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have Williams from the Fed giving a speech. At 1 p.m., we also have Bostic giving a speech from the Fed. This is going to be very, very important. So I can't wait to see what this leads to. This is also very important because these Fed speakers will give us more insights on monetary policy. So look for some volatility when they speak, but nothing too crazy. Now, other things that will affect the markets could be earnings. We just had TSMC announce their earnings in the morning. I didn't get a chance to go over this, but then Netflix also announced earnings after market close, not really affecting the markets too much. We also have American Express on Friday before market opens, so we'll have to see how things go. TSMC is actually a little bit green. Overall, it had pretty decent earnings. If you actually look at this, they ended up beating on revenue at $20.82 billion worth of revenue, not to mention a beat in net income, a beat of expectations with revenue rising over 40.1%, with net income also increasing. That's some very, very good news, especially because they're talking about some decent guidance over the fact that strong demand is going to likely perpetuate, at least for the next upcoming quarters. And we're starting to see big shifts over here. Now, politics could affect this to a larger extent, so be careful with stocks like this, but just know that so far, so good from earnings. For Netflix, they had decent earnings overall. Overall, the share price is kind of flat, so it's not really doing a whole lot at the time I'm recording this, but just know that they did relatively good for earnings. They beat on EPS with $4.88. Revenue is at $9.56 billion above expectations. Memberships are at 277.65 million global paid memberships. That's also above expectations, which just isn't bad whatsoever. Revenue is up about 17% year over year, not to mention the full year reported revenue growth of about 14 to 15% is also not bad compared to like previous guidance. So guidance is actually raised, and they did relatively well with partnerships growing. So good news, at least for them. Decent earnings from Netflix thus far. When it comes to the fear and greed index, right now things are quite neutral, stuck in the middle. Greed is now making a momentum, so it's actually shifting a little bit downwards because of the fact that we're seeing the market dip a little bit. We're approaching some key supports, at least for the S&P 500. On top of this, we're seeing a big shift in two different things. Number one, up here we have the puts and call option positioning. Right now, this is going up. We're not as greedy as before. There's some buyers once again of puts who are making up a large percentage of the options chain. So there's more shorting that's been going on in this market, and volatility is starting to explode in the market. So implied volatility is going up. As a result, the VIX is pushing up above its 50 daily moving average. So we have a breakout on the VIX. We'll see if this lasts or not. So watch for that very carefully. For SPY, one last thing is when you look at the options chain for just Friday, which is going to be tomorrow, we have over 700,000 of these calls expiring, and we have over 2.5 million puts expiring, a 554 max pain with 3.56 being the put to call ratio. So lots of puts are expiring. Over 2.5 million puts are expiring. That's more than 3 times the amount of puts compared to how many calls there are. Absolutely insane, guys. So the question is, what's going to happen from this point on? What is my personal opinion? In terms of price action, just know that there's a lot of manipulation on Fridays, especially because of the options chain. That's going to lead to some interesting price action. But on SPY, I just want to call out the fact that we are holding the daily 20 EMA as one big support. So support's holding on SPY so far. Looking at the 4-hour time frame, just know that we're also trying to kind of rebound right here. And I think that there's a good chance we're going to make that attempt to do so. So we came down to the previous resistance, which is now support at this 550 area. I called this out. I said, you want to be watching that. If we lose this, I'll be looking for basically 548.5, this area. This is going to be our last, point of hope. That's where this wick happens to be. So there's still some leeway in that support. But just to be very, very serious with everyone, We have two big supports right here. Do you guys see these two big blue lines? Excuse me. We have this 550.5 area as one support. We actually held that for now. If we were to lose this, we could be dipping into 548.5 and then try to rebound. But if we were to lose the second support here, the second blue line down here, 548.5, there's going to be a big rug pull on SPY. I think we could easily start dipping all the way down to the lower to mid 540s. A big rug pull will come if we lose 548.5. So keep that in the back of your mind. Now, if we were to rebound, to turn bullish, you want to see SPY get back above 556. If we break past 556, there could be another attempt to fill this imbalance and make our way back up to the higher levels. But right now, what's looking more probable is this. We have a big test coming, and this is dependent on what we end up seeing. So I think what's going to happen to SPY is we're going to see an attempt to rebound after this big little wick right over here. This favors us attempting to rebound. I think tomorrow morning, we're going to get very close to our 50 EMA. We could get close to 555 or so. And then we'll have to see if we break through that or not. If we break the 50 EMA on the 4-hour time frame, this big yellow line right here, I think there's a very, very good chance that if that breaks, we could see a little rebound. If not, if we reject off the yellow EMA right here, the 555.7 area, then we could be looking for a move back down and we could be retesting 550 all over again. So that's what I see happening for tomorrow. We're going to most likely rebound a bit, push a couple of points. I'm not the best at calling like one move and the next move, the next move, the next move, like 5 of the next moves. I can't always do that. But I can tell you is that it looks like we're going to try to rebound and test some key resistance and we'll see what the reaction we get. So that's all we want to focus on as day traders. We're not going to focus on 20 moves. We're just going to focus on the next 1 to 2 moves. And right now I see SPY attempting to rebound and retest 555. And then we'll have to see what kind of reaction we get. If we get a rejection off this, then we're going to be looking for a big move back down. If not, we continue to go higher. But look for that rebound and see what happens once we touch resistance at 555.7. And that's what I think is going to most likely happen. If you look at ES, we're also grabbing liquidity right over here. I think that there's a good chance it's going to rebound at least to where this wick happens to be. We could be looking for 56.21 at the very least, if not going a little bit higher than that. And that's going to also dictate the way SPY is moving. So watch for that very carefully. For the IWM, not the IWM, sorry, Nvidia. I meant to say Nvidia. I don't know why I said IWM. Nvidia is going to rebound to at least 123.8 tomorrow, if not 125. So look for a little rebound in the morning. We also have this gap to fill. It loves to fill its gap, so I think 125 is looking more probable. And then the problem is, and this is the big issue that I'm seeing, look at this area right here. We had previous resistance, previous support, which is now becoming resistance. That tells us that, yes, we could go up to 125 tomorrow morning, but it's going to be a tough resistance all the way up there. We'll have to see if Nvidia gets some kind of rejection or not of that 125 range. So look for a rebound. We're going to rebound a little bit, and then we'll see if we get a rejection off the 125s or not. Watch and see what happens, at least for that moving forward. For Bitcoin's on a bit of a dip right over here. Make sure you watch this resistance around this 64,000 area. If we break through this, we could fill this imbalance towards 64,800. And if we reject off 64,000, we'll be dipping all the way back down towards 63,000, right over here where this wick happens to be. And if that fails us, we're coming all the way down to 62,500. That's where we had this previous support. So look for a little rebound and then a potential rejection on Bitcoin. I do favor that a little bit more, and we'll see how well this ends up holding up. For Tesla, this is making a lot of people's minds right now. Just let me make it very clear that Tesla is very stationary. If you look at the 30 minutes time frame, check this out, guys. It's very, very simple. Okay. Very, very simple price action, very, very simple volatility. Let me adjust the colors of my lines just to show you guys the range. We had a different range before, so I just want to fix this for a second. So as you can see, Tesla's just going back and forth and back and forth. That's all it's been doing for the last couple of days. It's not really, it's not really making much of a move, excuse me, in my personal opinion. So this is what I'm saying. You look at Tesla, we have this support right over here around this 247 area, the zone right here. We bounced, we went all the way up to about 258, then we came back down, bounced, came down, bounced, came down. It's just back and forth for 3 straight days. Tomorrow morning, there's a very, very good chance Tesla's going to rebound again and then retest this resistance. It might come back down, just continue to trade sideways. So that's all I'm seeing for now, some consolidation. I think that's getting ready to consolidate because we're going to see a big move next week with earnings coming out. So Tesla has earnings coming out. So I think that's going to trigger a very, very big move as we approach it. And I think it's going to start next week. So maybe one more day of consolidation, then a massive move is coming. Possibly to the upside, we'll see. But I'm going to be very, very patient nonetheless. For the triple Q, to me, this looks a little bit more bullish. It might try to push up towards 483. That's going to be our 50 EMA. If that breaks, look at 486. I do think there's a very, very good chance it's going to try to rebound a bit towards these levels. So I favor that. A little bit of a push is looking a little bit more probable to me. So look for these levels very closely. I think that there's a good chance we're going to try to push upwards. We could be looking for 483, then 486, and then we'll have to see if you reject or not off that level to drop lower. When you zoom out of the 30-minute time frame and go to like the 4-hour time frame as well, you will see that there's a rebound attempt right over here as we're trying to hold this support from this zone. So I could be looking for this imbalance to fill. We could get very, very close to 486, maybe come a little bit below that. And we'll see if we get a rejection, start tipping back down to our 200 EMA or not. Watch supports at 476 on the QQQ. If we lose that, we're going down to 472. If we break past this 486 area, we could be looking for 489 all over again. What do I think is more probable? A little rebound towards 485 to 486. Then we'll see if we reject or not. For now, just look for a little rebound, and then we'll see how it reacts to resistance. For Apple, I'm seeing the same thing because when you pull up the daily on Apple, we held our 20 EMA nicely. So it's a good sign. We might be looking for a little counter trend move back up towards 227.5. That's looking very probable to me. As long as we hold 225, there's a very, very good chance that's going to happen. So look for that on Apple moving forward. Now, let me go over a few more of these tickers and try to be kind of quick with the rest of my analysis. Just know that Palantir is gaining some strength. It's actually outperforming the market. This may continue to push. Look for a test of 29 very, very soon. If that breaks, we're going back up to 30. It looks like it's going to try to bounce and rebound tomorrow. Supermicro is looking a little bit weaker in my personal opinion. We have a double top like structure is kind of bearish looking. But for the short term, I do see this test coming. I think we're going to easily retest this area right here, this 815 area, 815 to 816, and then there, and then also just 820. I think that we're going to most likely test that, and then we'll have to see what kind of reaction we get. But that looks more favorable in my personal opinion. For SoFi, we're barely holding the support right here. This is actually our 7.45 area. The reason why SoFi was holding up well is because we rallied quite a bit over the last couple of days thanks to the big bank earnings. So if we hold 7.45 tomorrow, look for a rebound towards 7.8 over the next couple of days. If we end up losing 7.45, look for a rug pull all the way down towards, I think we could get close to like 7.2 if not lower. So look for a big drop if we lose 7.45. If we hold that, we rebound. So look for that big test tomorrow. It looks to me like it's going to try to rebound and try to make its way back up to 7.8. But just to be safe, we'll watch for confirmation. For the IWM Russell 2000, we're also testing our 20 EMA. This is going to be at 218. If we hold this, look for a rebound towards 220. If we lose this, we're going to be dipping all the way down towards this imbalance here. We actually have this gap to fill as well, but I think we could actually be dipping down towards like 215 or so if this ends up failing. My gut is telling me it's going to rebound a bit tomorrow and try to get back up to 220, so I favor that, and then we'll have to see how it reacts to that. But look for a little rebound attempt tomorrow morning. For Coinbase, it's the same thing. We actually held our 50 EMA. Look for a test of 238 tomorrow. If we break this, we're going up to 242. If we fail at 238, we're going back down to 232. And then if that fails, 229 is coming. So we're stuck between these EMAs. That's why it's going back and forth and back and forth. But I see a little rebound coming for at least 238 tomorrow. That's looking a little bit more probable to me. For Amazon, I know a lot of people are interested in Amazon. Amazon's not looking that great in my personal opinion. We are dipping a little bit, but I think there's going to be a little rebound attempt just like that of SPY. So I wouldn't be surprised if we try to push back up towards 186. And if we break through that, look for 188.5. If we reject off 186, we're going to pop and then reject back down, make a move back down towards 182.5. What do I think it's going to do? A little rebound. That's looking more probable to me. I think we're going to be retesting this resistance. So look for a push back up to 186.5, and then we'll see if it rejects or not. Look for a little bounce, in my personal opinion. For Meta is going to also rebound. Here's the reason why. We've been dropping a lot on Meta because of lots of bearish news for the past week and a half. This has actually been underperforming compared to the market. So this was already dipping before the market was dipping. And what's been happening is this has a very, very big effect on other industries out there. I think that Meta is now trying to balance because of the fact that it's been dipping so hard. And I think we're going to be approaching 485. I think there's a very good chance we're going up to 485. So watch and see what kind of reaction we get to this. If we break through that, I think 495 is coming. If not, we're going to reject. But look for more upside tomorrow morning. I see that move coming most likely. Same thing with Microsoft. I think we could try to fill this imbalance. It depends if we could hold support. If we lose 439.5, we get rug pulled. If we break through, 445, then look for a push for 447.5, then 452. I think what's going to happen is this. I think we're going to rebound tomorrow on Microsoft. It looks like it wants to bounce, especially at the end of the day. This imbalance is going to likely fill. I think 445 is coming, and we'll see if it breaks through that or not. If it does, 447.5 is our next target. I see potential. This is my personal opinion. For Google, we basically have 178.78 as support, okay? If we lose this, we're going to be dipping down to this imbalance towards 177. If we hold this, we're going to be making a nice move back up towards 182. I'll be watching to see which way we end up going. My gut tells me, okay? My gut is saying that this is going to hold its 200 EMA and attempt to get back up here towards 182. I find that to be a little bit more probable. We will see if that ends up being the case or not. For GameStop, we're kind of rejecting right over here. If we fail to hold above 26.15, look for a big rejection. We'll be coming back down towards basically 25. If we hold above 26.15, I'll be looking for basically 26.92. My gut tells me it's kind of popping, then maybe rejecting. So look for that very carefully on GME, and then we'll see how things go. For AMC of all things actually has like a little double top like structure, so it's a little bit more bearish to me. We could retest our 50 EMA at 5.23, then reject, and I do see a risk of this dipping lower. It has a bearish looking structure because of this big shift that's happening, at least right over here, at the way liquidity is moving, and also because of this pattern. It looks more bearish to me, so I favor a little rebound then a rejection. I think we're going to be eventually losing 5 for a little bit of a dip. Well, we had a lot of big catalysts coming out for GJT. As long as we hold above 37.5, I think we're easily going up to fill this imbalance towards 40. If we were to lose 35.96, we'll be dipping down to 34.5, but I favor upside and this imbalance fill as the most likely possibility. The VIX is on a breakout, and the reason why this is important is we're actually above our 4-hour 200 EMA. The daily is also looking pretty good on the VIX. So this is a breakout we're starting to see on the VIX finally. We could go higher. It looks a little bit bullish, which could be a bearish signal for the markets. But I do want to mention that there were times where we kind of rejected off 17. So it looks like it might go a little higher, and we'll have to see if we get a rejection off this 17 area. There's also resistance at 16, so we'll have to see if it rejects or not here. But still, the breakout is there, the strength being built in the VIX, and this is actually a bearish signal for the stock market. For the 10-year treasury yield, we're also dipping a bit. We have a bit of a downtrend right over here. If we do continue to downtrend, it's not really affecting the market as much as before. We'll have to see if we get a bounce as well, but we have this support closer to 4.15. If we hold that, we have a gap to fill above. If we reject it, we'll be dipping lower, so watch for that as well. For GJT, we have a double top leg structure. This is also very, very important. I think that this might be trying to push up towards the 200 EMA towards 105. I'm sorry, 104.8 and then 105. I think it might try to push higher. I think 104.8 is going to be tested, and this might actually cause the market to dip a bit. What's interesting is we did dip a bit more on the dollar, but we actually held 103.5. That's another support. So because we held that support, the dollar is trying to rebound. Might be testing our 200 EMA at 104.48, which may cause the market to dip a little bit lower. So we have some signals out there that are showing the market has some weakness. We're starting to see some bearish technicals. But as far as SPY goes, the daily 20 EMA has held support, which is a sign to me that this is going to try to rebound a little bit tomorrow, but then we'll have to see if we can break resistance or not. So the market's going to likely rebound a bit tomorrow morning, but then we'll have to see how we end up reacting to resistance. And just keep that in the back of your mind. I'm just talking about the morning move. There's going to be a big test, and we'll have to see if we can hold or not. What's tricky about predicting Fridays is sometimes there's a lot of manipulation because of the options chain. Keep in mind we have over 2.5 million puts expiring, so we'll just have to see how things go. With that being said, I thank you all so much for listening. I hope you guys have an absolutely spectacular rest of the day. Enjoy what life has to offer, and I'll see you guys very soon tomorrow before the market opens. Thanks again, guys, and peace out.